It has been reported that rare diseases have been historically neglected by researchers, drug developers, medical specialists, and policymakers. Approximately 350 million people are affected by a rare disease. It has been reported that 40% of GPs, general practitioners, and approximately 24% of medical specialists do not have the time to work on rare diseases. The WHO has estimated that about 7% of those rare diseases are treatable. A rare disease is defined rare if it affects less than 1 in 200,000 people. I myself have a rare disease known as Wolfram Syndrome. Wolfram Syndrome affects approximately 1 in 500,000 people globally. I have been told that it affects a little bit over 100 people across the British Isles, and it affects approximately 500 people in the States. Wolfram Syndrome is also known as GIDMOAD, an acronym for diabetes insipidus, diabetes mellitus, optic atrophy, and deafness. Diabetes insipidus is where the hormonal homeostasis is affected, in that there are problems with the transmission of hormones. Diabetes mellitus is what we commonly refer as diabetes, either type 1 or type 2 diabetes, that is. However, the diabetes mellitus for Wolfram syndrome is unlike both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It is similar to type 1 diabetes in that it is insulin dependent. However, unlike type 1 diabetes, it is due to the apoptosis of beta cells rather than an autoimmune response. Optic atrophy is where the nerve connecting the eye to the brain decays over time. This can lead to vision loss, which is incorrectable, and also color blindness, where everything turns to gray. Wolfram syndrome is known as a neurodegenerative disease. Thus, the brain is affected by the syndrome. Other side effects include loss of balance as well as difficulty breathing, eating, and speaking. There has also been reported that there are mental health issues with this disease. Another organ that is affected by this disease is the kidney. Wolfram syndrome is also a spectrum disease. This means that it affects people differently. The usual prognosis of this disease is that there is infant diabetes mellitus. As an infant, you would have insulin resistance. In puberty, you develop optic atrophy and your eyesight worsens. I am very fortunate in that I have a mild case of this disease. I have been told by specialists that there is only approximately one other person who has a similar phenotype of this disease as I do. I only had the optic atrophy that developed in puberty, and in approximately 2017, I was given a chance to have a DNA test, and from that DNA test, it was discovered that I have this syndrome. Shortly thereafter, I got tested for diabetes mellitus, which I did get, which started off as type 2 like diabetes, which then progressed to insulin-dependent diabetes. The optic atrophy and the diabetes mellitus are the only two main symptoms that I have. I also have a heart condition, and it has been seen elsewhere with this disease that there are other people who have heart conditions, but because of the rarity of this disease, this is just sort of taken as a coincidence. With the optic atrophy, I have impaired vision. I am registered as visually impaired in the UK, and I have given up driving, but I still make do. I am still allowed to perform well enough in school and universities. With the diabetes mellitus, I am running into a little bit of an oddity. I have type 1 like diabetes where I am insulin dependent, which usually means that you take basal and bolus insulin. Basal insulin is just sort of a baseline of insulin used twice daily, which covers the baseline. Bolus insulin is the insulin that you take when you're having food and is more rapid acting. What's odd in my situation is that I have stopped using the basal insulin. One of the good things that came out of having this disease was that in my A-levels, in England, I was given extenuating circumstances, which was helpful for the mental health. In Dublin, for my bachelor's, I was again given extenuating circumstances, and I saw a counselor regularly. In Exeter, I have gotten extenuating circumstances and other supports. Another great experience that happened because of this disease was that I participated in the Treats Wolfram clinical trial. This trial was looking at repurposing the drug sodium valproate, which is normally used for epilepsy, and seeing if that had an effect on treating the eyes for Wolfram patients. This trial was a very small trial because it's a rare disease, and it only had in total about 50 participants across the UK as well as mainland Europe. I recently went to the latest Wolfram clinic to see how my Wolfram Syndrome is doing, and overall it seems alright, but I still have to keep on track with it, and I also have my heart to look out for. Having this syndrome has made me realize that I want to help people who are in similar position or in disadvantaged positions.